Positive rotation. Ignition. You guys have a nice flight. We'll see you back here.
Welcome to Roll Call, a 126 Air Refueling Wing podcast of the Illinois Air National Guard at Scott Air Force Base. I am your host, Staff Sgt. Aaron Rodriguez. The Roll Call podcast focused on people, mission, and community. Our guest this week is the acting commander of the 126 Operations Group, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Knab. In part 2, he talks about how intertwined the 126th and the 906th are, and talks about what drives him to stay in the wing and the Air Force. The big news from the last couple of weeks, the State Adjutant General Rich Neely announced that Colonel Nicholas Henschel has been selected as the new 126th Air Refueling Wing Commander. Henschel currently serves as the 183rd Air Operations Group Commander in Springfield. Previously, he served in the 126 as a traditional guardsman for 18 years. General Neely went on to thank Colonel Kevin Jacobs, our wing's current acting commander, for his leadership. General Neely expressed his gratitude to the airmen and civilian employees of the wing for their continued outstanding performance and the wing's tradition of excellence. And speaking of excellence, the 126 won the base softball championship, going undefeated in the playoffs and beating 13 other teams. So congratulations, team. Pictures of the team are on our Facebook page for those interested. All right, coming up, part 2 of Master Sergeant Brian Ellison's interview with Lieutenant Colonel Jason Knab.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. If you're having a tough time or thinking about suicide, you're not alone. And there's hope. VA's Veterans Crisis Line is full of responders who listen and help. Many are veterans or have veteran family members and friends, so they're prepared to address your challenges. After calling, you'll be connected to the next available crisis line responder. That person may ask, are you thinking of suicide? Or what plan can we put in place to keep you safe today? If you choose, the responder will share your name and personal information with your local VA Suicide Prevention Coordinator, who'll connect you to local VA assistance and resources. Don't wait. Dial 988, then press 1.
You know, what do you think that we take away as the guardsmen? We take away from the 906 folks that what do they have? What they have to offer.
Well, I think it's a give and take the whole time, and I think we learn similar lessons from each other. As a guardsman, you're used to your unit, your home. You're not used to people moving in and out of that home constantly. Sure. That are maybe not here long enough to really sit down like permanent roots. Right. But what they find out, I think, is that again, we're no different. Right. We're active folks. We've committed to the same ideals and end state that we want to reach, which is freedom. Mm-hmm. To preserve that for our country and for our families. They also know, I think what they figure out is that they could be in the unit later on too. Yeah. Right. So a lot of 906ers stay in the unit, and that's a huge benefit of the Total Force Association is that you can. So when everybody shows up initially, a lot of times I tell them, your 3-year interview starts right now. Because I don't know where you're going to go after you spend time at the 906, but you may end up staying in the guard unit. Right. And that's not to scare people. It's just to give them an idea of, or give them an idea that there are options in your career. If you stay active duty, of course, I will promote that because I reached 20 this last June. But if you're going to stay and serve your country in a different aspect, if it's part-time or full-time, right, that's still a huge win for the Department of the Air Force, right? Because we're retaining you as a pilot, as an asset to do the mission. So...
Are you surprised you did 20 years? You said you mentioned that you're like, oh, it's going to get my pilot's license and become a Delta pilot.
Yeah, so I was working multiple jobs in college and paying for flight lessons. My goal was just to go straight into commercial somehow. Right. I was like, it doesn't matter to me if I'm going to go fly a small little mail carrier, then jump into a regional, then go to the majors. But something something was eating at me. Something was in my heart was telling me there's something more that I need to do.
Right.
And that was service. I'm not completely surprised. I was going to do 20 years. There was a pilot that I flew with, D-Rob. We deployed my second deployment, and he looked at me during one sortie and goes, "You're going to do 20 years." And I told him, I was like, "No, there's no way." But he called it back in, I think it was like 2006. And
wow.
It was my second year flying the tanker, and he's like, "You're gonna do 20. I can see it." I don't know what he saw. Maybe it was just my drive for knowledge and my passion for people. I really, really care for people that I work with. But no, I thought I was going to get out. Very first ATA, I walked straight up to the Atlas booth and a couple other booths and said, "How do I build enough hours to get out and go fly for you?"
Oh, wow.
So I was driven to go do other things. But the more and more I spent in the military, what I realized is that family atmosphere, that belonging to something greater than yourself was just pulling me in. It was just this gravitational force that I could not stop. And I really wanted to serve with people. And I really care about wearing this uniform every day. When I put it on, it gives you a sense of pride and purpose. And hopefully I can give that same purpose and pride to other people as they put it on and they serve their country.
How does the squadron help out the wing when we're taking care of domestic operations like floods or civil disturbances, for example?
First, I want to say it's incredible that the Air National Guard supports those events, right? Those are key events for the civilian population in the United States that can be very emotional and taxing on the members of this country. And it's awesome that the state's able to use, our members to go do those things and to support the greater good of the population in the United States. But what we do is we're fully integrated.
Right.
I mean, we're completely integrated. So when those members are called to go do something for the state, like you said, a flood or a natural disaster, something that they have to respond to. Just recently was COVID, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
We can run the mission. The active duty is in every shop.
Right.
So when it comes to executing the maintenance, the support, the fuel, the flying of the jets, we can hold the fort down back here, and we can, because we're integrated in each shop. So the mission goes on. The mission does not slow down. We didn't slow down because there were a handful of people that were gone serving in a different way,
right,
in a different place. That's the unique thing about Total Force. And that's what makes us so strong. That's why Total Force units are so unique, but also so strong when it comes to executing the mission. Is no matter what happens, we can continue to do the mission.
Wow. Have you ever had 906ers like, "Hey, I want to go do what these National Guard, I want to go help serve the state"?
Every single time.
Really?
Every single time something came up, they wanted to go do it too. They wanted to be part of it. It's because the 126 has made the 906 an integral part of their team,
right,
and totally integrated them, that they feel like they should be there with their brothers and sisters serving for the state. You just keep reminding them, hey, different statuses, all right? And it does not mean that you're not serving, but you are serving here locally or
right,
abroad, doing the mission so they can go do those great things.
So that reminds me, when we do go to Guam or Geilenkirchen or Poland, do 906ers go with us?
And they can.
Yeah?
Yes, sometimes they do. So great news, FY24, the Air Force has decided to embed the 906 into the operations of the 126 for deployed operations. So after a gen cycle, FY24, the 906 will be a certain percentage of the give for the 126. This is something that previous commanders and myself have been working on to do, because we train together 24/7. We should operate together 24/7. The Air Force does not lose an asset or lose the 906 from doing missions across the globe. We're just doing it as a Total Force team, and that's how it should work.
So, what has impressed you about the Illinois Air National Guard?
So, I've thought a lot about this since I've been here. What impresses me is the professionalism. It's their ability to do multi jobs, their ability to take this active duty force that came in and I don't want to say invaded their home, but, are sitting in their home and just put their arms around them and say, hey, you're part of the team. Nobody is treated differently. Everybody is part of that team, and that just shows how strong the Illinois Air National Guard is here down at Scott Air Force Base. And I'm not saying it's not anywhere else, but this is what I see here, my context, right?
Right.
They're just a great, they're an incredible fighting force. They're diverse. I don't know what else to say. I love the total force. I think that it's very important. It's because my experience in total force has been really good. It's not like that at every base.
Right.
It doesn't work at every base. It hasn't.
Really?
But it works here. There's a reason that we're the benchmark total force association. It's because the host organization in the administrative organization, so you have your two different ones, the 375th and
Sure.
the 126th, work together to make it happen, right? To make sure that this partnership and relationship is strong. You have to have that. You have to have strong leadership at all levels to make it work. And they have to understand how it works. It's letting us completely embed into the 126. It's supporting us when we're up for awards or promotions administratively.
Right.
The wing here just gets it.
Do 906ers and 126 pilots and boomers, do they fly together or do they fly separately?
So we fly together, completely integrated. Every sortie, every training sortie. The only reason you would know somebody is from either the 906 or 108th in the OG is the color of the patch. So
The patch is the name tag is different?
So it's different, but the same at the same time. So up till I was the commander in 2021, the 906 patch was just a solid yellow patch with wings and name.
Oh, okay.
When I saw that, I said, that doesn't work for me.
Oh, cool.
Because we're one team, one fight, period, dot, total force.
Right.
So what we did is I took the 108th patch, which has the state of Illinois and the Minuteman on it.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, we can have the state of Illinois because we're part of that team. So we redesigned the patch, changed the color to be blue with the yellow on the outside because for the 108th, it's the orange on the outside and the blue on the inside also.
Oh, okay.
And then we put the state of Illinois and the tanker pointed north that indicates that we're active duty, as we don't have the Minuteman on there.
Okay.
And then put the name and the wings on there also. For my maintainers and all our support, the only reason you know is because of the patch on their arms.
Okay.
So you'll have your 906 patch
Oh, sure.
versus having like the 126 maintenance patch or the squadron patch over there or the 108th squadron patch. You'll have the 906 patch. But that's the only way you know. When you're not wearing the flight suit, it makes it a lot more difficult, right?
Right.
And when I bring people in from the other side of base, like when the new wing commander comes over, what we want to show them is when you walk around, you don't know if they're active duty or guard. That's the goal.
Sure.
To show people that may have not experienced a total force unit that's how we should operate.
Do those 906ers, do they come in on our drill weekends? Do you have them show up sometimes?
Yeah, so part of the association plan is that we fully integrate for all inspections and then for all exercises. So we are a big part of the 81X, so our nuclear deterrence. Mm-hmm. So whenever we exercise that for deterrence and whenever we do mission sets like an LRE or an operational readiness inspection and things like that, we're completely integrated. So they come in, but we also follow the guard schedule, which is nice for our guys too, right?
Last week, I flew on the flight up to Saginaw, and they were like, "Oh, this is great, you got tomorrow off."
It's a great benefit, but we repay that time in the drill weekends because we are full-time members.
Right.
So you may be in a training flight and you need to train the traditionalists. Maybe by giving a briefing or flying or doing something to make sure that you support that team. So we may not give them AMC family days. What we do is we give them the Guard Fridays and we follow your schedule because we should be fully integrated, and that's the right way of going about it.
You're the acting 126 operations group commander. What made you decide to stick around?
It was just the right thing to do. All joking aside, I love this unit, and when you invest your heart and soul into something like that, you can't just leave unless you know it's on the right path to be the best that it can be. And I felt like I needed to stay to support the team in any way possible. When the wing commander came down and said, Jason, hey, I need you to be the group commander, I was like, that's funny. He's like, no, I really do. And I'm like, of course I will. Like, I don't have to think about that.
Right.
Because it's about, and it's not that the unit won't run without me. It will run just fine, right? Because it's a machine that is well oiled and it's going to move forward. We got great people in all different sections of the unit. But when you're asked to do something like that, you just don't say no. Like, you say yes and you move forward because that's the right decision for the mission. It's the right decision for people. I care about the people of the unit. And I want to make sure they have the best shot to be the best unit they can be.
Is there anything that you're learning working with becoming? You're the 126 Operations Group Commander, but you're active duty. Is there any I don't know things that you've had to get used to now that you're the Ops Group Commander? Or I guess my question is, has anything changed from being the 906th commander to the Ops Group Commander?
I have to go to less buildings to see my folks. The 906 is spread across so many different buildings across the wing. With the Ops Group, it's a little more centralized. So we've got the 3 squadrons, the 108, the 906, and the 126 OSS. And we are spread across a few buildings, but it's more consolidated in the single area. The great thing is I've got great commanders and DOs in the seats that are doing the job every day. So all I need to do is make sure I give them my trust because I know they're going to get the job done. I think a group commander is a great job because your job is to support the squadrons. Your job is not to tell them what to do or to give them ultimatums, things like that. It's to ask questions and listen, to ask them how you can support them as a group commander, to then echo that need or that message that you want to send up to the wing or even higher, so that they have the equipment, the time, the decision-making space to execute the mission, organize training, and equip people to go do the mission. So I think I have, and I hate to say it, I think I have less to do. I think squadron command is the hardest job in the Air Force in a lot of ways because you are in the trenches with your folks executing the mission.
Sure.
As a group commander, I get to sit back a little bit, listen and learn, but also support where needed. So those meetings weekly are really important with your senior team. And I'm not just talking about the squadron commanders. I'm talking about all the senior enlisted. So your SELs, your first sergeants, all your ops group shop leads, listening to them and understanding what they need, and where I can interject to help them get what they need is what the job is about.
So what's next for the operations group? What's ahead for the operations group?
So really great things. We're doing a lot of things when it comes to the mission that was directed not just from the Air National Guard, but from AMC. So we're doing a lot of initiatives like hot pit refueling, defueling. We're sending our crews all across the world to do aeromedical evacuation, cornets.
Is that what a cornet is?
So a cornet is basically anything that we do to help support the air refueling mission. It could be airlift or air refueling.
Okay.
Could be dragging F-16s or F-22s across the pond. It could be taking troops to different locations.
Okay.
Yes, the KC-135 can be used for troop transport, although it is not the ideal one like the C-17 or C-5. But it's taking certain aircraft, taking people to different locations to keep the mission moving forward. One that we've done before, when I say air medical evacuation, that's, supporting the movement of patients in some shape or form for whatever reason that they're a patient, to get them around a theater, to get them the help that they need. One of the ones that we've done recently is over in the Pacific. And so we'll hop from here to Travis. The jet will get outfitted for AE, so lights, litters, maybe an AE squadron, maybe from here, maybe from Scott, because the largest active duty AE squadron is at Scott. It's here, over across the ramp. And then we'll hop from there to Hickam, to Guam, to Kadena, to Masawa, to different locations, pick up individuals along the way to make sure they can get back to the States or get to a place where they can get the right treatment. It's a really rewarding mission that we get to do in the KC-135.
Speaking of kind of rewarding, what's been a highlight of yours being in the wing?
Wow, well, this opportunity is definitely a highlight. Being commander,
Being on the podcast.
well, oh heck yeah, it is a highlight.
No.
It's funny when you called me about. So one of the big things we did recently is the 100-year celebration of air refueling.
Yeah.
To me, that was a highlight. That's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where I was able to give multiple pilots and booms, PA, maintainers a chance to go out and celebrate air refueling, which has really changed the way that we do operations in the joint environment. It's a big deal. You're force extending aircraft, but to be able to bring it home to not only Scott but the state of Missouri and also Illinois and show them, hey, we can do some incredible things, and we're going to fly really low. Although the funny thing is, so we tried to fly down the coast along the lake in Chicago.
Yeah.
But the fires were so bad you couldn't even see the aircraft. So
I know.
It was just so bad, but it was still a thought, right? It was the news. It was PA putting out the press release saying, "Hey, look at this incredible thing that started with the Wright brothers, a long time ago. And now look at what we're doing now."
Right.
And also, hey, we've got jets that were made in 1957 that are now still flying missions. People ask me all the time. They're like, your jet was made in 1963? Yeah. It's like, yes, it's very well maintained.
That's right.
We go to depot, they pull all the pieces apart and put it back together. But to showcase that, to show our capabilities to not only the nation, but to the world, to show what we can do with a pretty young crew force is pretty incredible. I would love to do another pass down the coast of Chicago with like a 2 or 3 ship, because I think that we owe that to the state of Illinois to do something else where we can showcase something when it's not engulfed by the Canadian wildfires, because it's important to show people that we care. Right. We love what we do because we love to support the defense of this nation. Period.
How much fun is it to fly? I mean, I know for me, just getting to go on the plane, I want to fly on the plane as much as I can because I love to fly. And you must have even more fun.
I think my watch heartbeat just went up like 10.
Yeah.
So I'm biased. I love aviation. It started with my dad. My mom both flew privately.
Really?
So when we grew up, my dad owned a plane with 4 or 5 other families, and we all bought it together to make it reasonable.
Sure, yeah.
But we'd fly to grandma, or we'd go places in this little Cessna 172, and it was had a large impression on my life. I knew when I was sitting in the co-pilot seat for my dad's little plane, he's like, just follow along with the controls, that this is something I wanted to do. Because when you make the trees look really small in the buildings, you get a real big perspective. It's like being scuba diving. I think that's why it's so appealing to me. Mm-hmm. You go down and it's you in the ocean. Or you go up in the air, it's you in the sky. There's not much up there. It's an incredible feeling. A lot of people say you get bit by the aviation bug, right?
Right.
That's so true.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you felt that when you're up there. You're like, wow, this is really neat. It really is. Hopefully we get to show more and more people that.
Right.
And encourage them to come join the Illinois Air National Guard or join the Air Force. I think it's important for them to see the cool things that we do. But flying is a passion. It's a love of mine. Nothing is better, and I tell this to the young guys, than going up in the air with 2 young students and teaching them and expressing how much I love aviation to get them excited about what they do every day.
Do you have your own plane?
I do not. I wish I did. I've been very close numerous times to buying a plane.
Boy, those are expensive, though.
It's the operational cost of a plane that really gets you, because you could buy a plane probably for like $40,000 to $200,000 depending on what you get, right? But the problem is the monthly cost of operating that plane is quite ridiculous sometimes. That's why people buy in it as a group.
Okay, yeah.
When they go about
I've heard a lot of people buying it as groups.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Much more affordable.
All right. Anything else to add? I know we've covered a lot, and we could probably keep talking, but we probably should wrap it up. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you'd like to touch on?
I just want to say that I'm extremely blessed and thankful to be here. AMC Safety didn't have to. They didn't have to give me the time to stay as the ops commander. But they decided to do it because it was the right thing. It was the right person at the right time. And I'm not trying to preach for myself. I'm just saying that I was in the seat and they allowed me to stay to continue to serve this great unit. And it will be one of the hardest things I've had to do to leave. I am, a lot of people will say, he likes to talk, but I also lead with a lot of emotion too, a lot of times.
Sure.
And that's because I care. Everybody that works here in this unit are incredible. They work extremely hard, not only to protect your state, but for the nation. And I see it every day, and that's what, fuels me to be here. Is to serve them so they can do their job. But I thank you for letting me come here today. It's pretty awesome to be able to, maybe share a little bit, peek under the rug of who, Jason Knab is. But it's also special to spend this time and to, say great things about a unit that you really care about.
All right. Thank you, sir, for joining us. That is the 126 Operations Group Acting Commander, Lieutenant Colonel, or, you can call him Colonel Select, Jason Knab. Thanks again, sir, for coming by.
Thank you.
Airmen and Guardians now have the opportunity to provide feedback through the 2023 Workplace and Gender Relations Survey. The WGR reports the estimated prevalence of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and gender discrimination in the military. The data collected helps DoD leaders improve and develop policies and programs. All eligible participants are below the rank of general. Responses are 100% confidential and it's voluntary. Airmen can access the survey after completing their unit's Defense Organizational Climate Survey. Airmen and Guardians eligible for special leave accrual have a new lower amount of carryover they can retain. The total amount is now 90 days of leave and special leave combined, down from the previous limit of 120 days. The time frame for keeping special leave has also changed from 3 years to 2. The changes went into effect at the beginning of the current fiscal year. They don't affect people who had unused leave of more than 90 days at the end of 2022, but those leave balances above 90 days will be forfeited if not used by September 30th, 2026. Enlisted service members who could lose leave in excess of 90 days have the option of a one-time sailback. The Department of the Air Force announced the 2024 Promotion Board schedule, and it marks the first step in making most promotion boards coincide with evaluation closeout dates. Boards for next year are one step closer to a predictable schedule, ensuring officers will be evaluated within 6 months of promotion boards. Lieutenant General Caroline Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff for Manpower, Personnel, and Services, says maximizing alignment of promotion boards to static closeout dates is a strategic step towards improving talent management. During the transition year, boards that would have met at the end of 2024 will now meet in January or February of 2025. That's your look around the Air Force. I'm Staff Sergeant Jasmine Granger.
If you haven't seen our Facebook page or Instagram, we have pictures from the exercise Raging Piazza. Also, check out our YouTube channel for the other content, including past podcasts. You can find all of our links on Linktree. It's linktr.ee/126ARW. If you are watching YouTube, you can also download this on your favorite podcast app. All right, if you want to pass some information, you can email roll call at 126rollcall@gmail.com. Thanks for listening to Roll Call, a 126 Air Refueling Wing podcast focused on people, mission, and community. I am Staff Sergeant Aaron Rodriguez.
500 stable.
Yeah.